What's cooking YouTube? It's Crumbzi. I'm finally back with another video. It's been so long and I'm so excited to start posting again. Before I begin this video, I need to clear the elephant in the room. Yes, this is my voice and it isn't any AI or text-to-speech. This is truly my voice. But this isn't the reason I'm making this video. As you could tell from the title, I am ranking every season in Fortnite, from Chapter 1 Season 1 to Chapter 6 Season 3. We are ranking them from absolute peak and or game changing down to downright awful. And we have all the seasons down below. And make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you did enjoy it, and comment if you disagree with any of my opinions. And also make sure to use code Crumbzi in the item shop. And for our first ever season, Chapter 1 Season 1, I would say was a very good season, obviously because Fortnite became a thing. However, I will take into credit that we are putting it against other seasons, so I will unfortunately put it at enjoyable would play again. And in a sense that I would play again if I went back in time and didn't know anything about future seasons. Next up is Chapter 1 Season 2. I think we could all agree that it's very similar to Season 1. Nothing much has happened during this season. A little bit of new stuff. I think the most important is the Battle Pass being introduced. But besides from that, I think it's just the same as enjoyable would play again. But I will put it at masterpiece because this season is like that season where people recognize Fortnite as Fortnite. Up next is Season 3, and I have to already say it is definitely absolute peak. This season was the introduction of lots of lore. The Battle Pass was amazing, the map was decent, and lots of people played it. So it would be kind of bad if I put it any lower. Season 4 is next, and you guys have to agree with me here. Season 4 was an upgraded Season 3. They are both absolute peak, but Season 4 is just a little bit better, just because this was the introduction of live events. The rocket event was basically unexpected. Like, if you told someone from Season 3 that there's going to be a rocket live event, they would not believe you. So that is clearly why I'm just putting that in front of Season 3. Season 5 is up next, and I had a very hard time deciding. Season 5 was a very good season. They introduced vehicles, new locations, rifts, and eventually Kevin the Cube. But then I eventually put it at masterpiece, yet lower than peak, since the other future seasons are kind of better and more game changing. Season 6 is next, and yeah, again, it was quite a hard choice, but I actually chose absolute peak. The whole point of this season is the floating island, and it was amazing. The battle pass was also really good, and I just realized they also introduced the zombie Kevin zombies, cube zombies, I don't know what they were, but the zombies, which was really good. So I put that at absolute peak for sure. And now probably for one of the most iconic seasons of all time, Season 7. I'm definitely putting this at absolute peak. I don't know who would disagree. This season brung such a good battle pass. Christmas was upon us as well, and they brought creative, which is the most game-changing thing they have ever added to Fortnite, which is pretty self-explanatory. Now it's time for Season 8. Personally, this is probably my most favorite season of all time. They brought the volcano, the battle pass was amazing, Peely was introduced, cannons which were debatable, and the baller was really fun. But since I'm rating it as what I feel like most people also enjoy, and also by comparing, this wasn't as game changing as all the other seasons, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to put it at masterpiece, yet lower than peak. But at heart, this season was my absolute favorite. Season 9 is a very interesting season, I must say. Everyone has a lot of mixed feelings. I personally say it's alright of a season. It was a very drastic change from Season 8. I think the only thing that carried this season was Neon Tilted, but something that carried it even more, which debates my tier list, is the live event of Monster vs Mech. This was an absolute amazing live event, which I unfortunately missed, which makes me put Season 9 at absolute peak and or game changing. But would I say it was peak? No, but unfortunately I'm going to have to break the rules of this tier list and having it put up there. Last but not least, for chapter 1 is Season X. Before I start, I barely played the season. I don't even have the Season X umbrella, I have to be honest, but this season wasn't as intriguing as I thought it would be. I heard a lot of people complained about the mechs and they hated it. I think the only thing I enjoyed the most about this season was the meteor being on the map. Besides from that, the season looked quite rushed and gave a bad end for chapter 1, I guess. Right after was chapter 2 season 1. I think we could all agree that this was the most game changing season of them all, simply because there was a new map. I have to be honest, I remember this season being so long, and I think it was about 4 months long, and I could never replay that if I had to. So I'm gonna have to unfortunately put that down to fun but would not replay. Sometimes bad things eventually turn good, and chapter 2 season 2 was absolute peak. I mean, I don't know, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Bosses, the whole theme, the battle pass, and it was just engaging and it never got boring. Next up is chapter 2 season 3. This is where my mind is kind of getting a bit foggy. I don't remember much playing this season, maybe I was away, but I do remember the map being covered in water. I kind of would want to replay that. Definitely would say it isn't quite masterpiece and definitely not game changing. They did add some good stuff, I have to be honest, like the shark. Wait, that was pretty cool, the shark. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to put out enjoyable. It just can't get over season 5 or any other seasons I put. The next season is the first ever collab season ever in Fortnite, which is chapter 2 season 4, the Marvel season. I really enjoyed the battle pass, the abilities in the game. There was that one game mode where you choose your abilities and you fight against it. That's what I enjoyed the most. I personally wanted to play as the superheroes and villains. That was the whole point of the season, and they did a very good job at it. So I'll have to put it at masterpiece. Chapter 2 season 5 is next, and I'm gonna have to be honest, this season I do not remember at all. I keep on repeating that, but I'm truly honest, I don't remember much. All I remember is some Colosseum and Mancakes, and that's it. I'm just gonna have to say horrible but not everything, because Mancakes is a pretty good skin. Chapter 2 season 6 is next, and I just don't need to explain myself at all. I'm going downright awful. I did not play this season at all. The first couple of hours just disappointed me. I didn't understand anything. They did not come back with a good season after chapter 2 season 5, and I only did 20 tiers and that's it. Chapter 2 season 7 is next, and I personally think this was an enjoyable, would play again. Something about this season was very interesting, definitely the UFOs and the very unique weapons they introduced, but beyond that I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, because I feel like it was just the same thing but something different every season during chapter 2, so it wasn't that big of a season in my opinion. Right after is chapter 2 season 8, and I'm gonna have to unfortunately put it at horrible but not everything. I think the not everything part is just a minor map changes they added. I don't remember much, and if I don't remember much, obviously this season was not good. I personally think this was just a filler season, and so that they could quickly go to chapter 3. Talking about chapter 3, chapter 3 season 1 was definitely an absolute peak and game changing, I must say. They added so many good things. The map was amazing. The Spider-Man mythic truly changed the whole game, with also Colombo. I think many people sometimes forget about Colombo. Colombo was truly something that we would have never expected to ever come to Fortnite, and they made it possible. So I'm definitely putting it at absolute peak and or game changing, but I'm going to put it below season 6 but higher than season 9. Definitely. Chapter 3 season 2 was next, and this season was a season where people have very huge mixed feelings since they added the week or so of zero builds. Zero builds arrived at this season, and I think it's the most game changing part about that season since we still play it to this day. However, was the season fun? They did have blimps, they did have tanks, but I don't know if it was that fun. But I'm gonna have to break the rules here. I'm gonna put it at game changing but lower than all the other seasons at absolute peak, just because it wasn't as fun as the rest of the seasons, but it was definitely the most game changing as we have zero builds to this day. Chapter 3 season 3 is next, and once again this season was not that memorable for me. I can't remember me playing it, but I somehow have the whole battle pass completed. I just reckon this season was quite lazy and they didn't know what to do with it, so they just put random stuff around and hoped for the best. And that's why I'm putting it at fun but would not replay, but definitely above chapter 2 season 1. And for the last season of chapter 3, I am putting it at downright awful. This season was another miss, but it was way lower than the season before. I hated it. The battle pass was extremely disappointing. There was no good skin at all and just felt really bland. They put around some chrome around the map and called it a day. Finally, we're on chapter 4 season 1, and it was a very good season. The introduction of a brand new map, the map was so clean. Hammers were the best item in the game. I think everyone could agree with that. Just overall the theme was very nice, and also a lot of people came back to this season, making it just in general a better experience. So I'll put that masterpiece. I don't think it deserves the absolute peak spot, because I do think the season was kind of still missing something. So I'm gonna put out masterpiece. I'm gonna put it above Chapter 2 Season 4 for sure. Chapter 4 Season 2 is definitely a better upgrade of Chapter 4 Season 1. I have to say Mega City carried the season with the katanas. I love this season so much, but technically I wouldn't call it game changing. So I'll just put it in front of Chapter 4 Season 1. Chapter 4 Season 3 was a very big disappointment. After Chapter 4 Season 2, they released the Jungle season and they monetized this season very well. I was extremely hyped, but when I began playing it, it was very chaotic. The trees and the jungle covering most of the map is quite annoying. When I had to do the final circle in this jungle area, it was almost unplayable. However, the thing that I liked most about this season was the mammoth pistol and the rifle that exploded on impact. I loved when they released them, and I cannot forget how bad of a summer event they had where they just covered a waterfall with summer decorations. But besides from that, I think this season deserves the enjoyable would play again, but I'm going to put out the lowest end of this tier. It's the least one that I would play again. And finally, Chapter 4 Season 4. This season had so many good reviews. People compared it to Chapter 2 Season 2. It was honestly such a good season, but there wasn't many changes to the map. We also had very good items. I put this at I would definitely put it at, I'll put it higher than Chapter 4 Season 2 at masterpiece, but not peak. OG Fortnite is next, and I'm definitely putting this at absolute peak and or game changing. This season was amazing. They added all the old seasons back and it was just the best month of all time. Lots of people played it. Fortnite broke records of how many players played it. Unfortunately, it was just 1 month and I wish it was kind of a longer, maybe a bit for Christmas they could have ended it, but besides from that, everything was perfect. I couldn't believe that they could have bring it back, to be fair. So I'll put it behind season 7 and in front of season 6. I think that was definitely top 3 seasons of all time. Chapter 5 season 1 came right after, and I think Fortnite definitely knew they had to keep all the current players, and they hit with another good season. I enjoyed it very much. It was definitely something new. The guns were different. They added gun customizations and the map felt very realistic for some reason, more realistic than the past chapters. I would say it was game changing. I would definitely say it was game changing. I'm going to put it behind chapter 3 season 1. I think it's just a recurring pattern that every new chapter they have to make the first season the best. After that was chapter 5 season 2, and this was the Greek mythology season. What I liked about this season was the theme in general. They did so much to suit the theme, especially with the map and the battle pass. The medallions, which I forgot to mention in chapter 5 season 1, was definitely a game changing part, were really good. I'll definitely put out masterpiece, yet lower than peak, but I'll put out like the lower side. I'm gonna be brutally honest, chapter 5 season 3 was only good for the first week. I enjoyed the cars very much. I liked how they made it the whole point, but it just felt very boring after the nerfs and it was just unplayable. So I'm just gonna simply put out fun but would not replay. Straight after was chapter 5 season 4, and this was the second Marvel season, which was unfortunately disappointing. I thought it was going to be similar to the first Marvel season or even better, but there was no abilities. It didn't really feel like I was playing a Marvel season, just another battle royale. I'm just going to have to put it out. Would play again. I would really want to experience the season, maybe to prove myself wrong. So I'm going to put out the lowest for enjoyable would play again. Remix season was next, and this was the recap of chapter 2 but in a different way. They replaced the iconic characters with rappers like Ice Spice, Snoop Dogg and Eminem. It was very interesting, but I think they executed the season very badly, but I did enjoy the 1 month. It was something different after all, so I'm going to put out enjoyable, would play again. We are down to our last 4 seasons, which is chapter 6 and season 1. I really enjoyed when it got introduced. There was so much added with many locations of the theme of the season, which I loved the most. And something that is very controversial but I loved was the wall runs and all the different movement mechanics, which people hated for some reason. I really want the wall run to come back despite me falling so many times. I'm gonna simply put this at masterpiece, yet lower than peak. I'm gonna put it behind chapter 5. I think chapter 5 is still better than this chapter. Chapter 6 season 2 is another one of those recurring situations where the season is something to do with heists or spies or some type of mafia, and this one probably was the least enjoyable out of all of them, but I would definitely say this is the most enjoyable would play again from all the other seasons I would put on this tier, and this is simply because of the bats and just the heists in general. I enjoyed going into the game and going heist first and getting all the good loot, which is pretty self-explanatory for this spot in the tier list. Next up is the Star Wars season, and my favourite part about this season was that there was no ammo. This is a bit of a silly reasoning, but I liked it a lot. The spaceships were also nice, and just the guns in general were fun. I'm going to be frankly honest, I was kind of glad that this season was quite short, since I didn't think I'm going to manage to play this season any longer, so I think it's good to put at enjoyable would play again. Finally we are on current season. I'm recording this before chapter Chapter 6 Season 4, so this is what I'm saying currently. I did not like the season that much. First week was very boring, and so it just felt like I had to repeat the cycle of just playing the same old thing. I wouldn't say there was major updates. Superman was kind of disappointing. I'm going to put out fun but would not replay. And finally, this is my final tier list. I did do some minor changes just to even it out and balance it between the seasons, and comment if you disagree on any of my opinions. Make sure to use code Crumbzi in the item shop. It would really help me and the channel out, and hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.